and to provide expert insight into Nigeria's new tax regime taking effect from January 1st, 2026, and to break down the key provisions, compliance expectations, and likely economic implications is Albert Folorunsho, a leading voice in tax administration and policy. Very warm welcome, Albert. Albert joins us from our Lagos studios in the Commercial Nerve Center of Nigeria. Albert, now tell us, the brouhaha, or you want to call it imbroglio, surrounding the gazetted tax, which of course has been passed to law, and the Court of Competent Jurisdiction has declined to suspend the implementation. What are some of the key issues that Nigerians must know? Few hours to the implementation of the provisions of the tax laws.
Thank you very much for having me. If you look at the provision of the law, as like you said, it takes a few hours from now. And so we can start speaking to the law the way it is, based on the gazetted copy that has been called the official gazette. And the new changes we will expect immediately. One is the issue around electronic money transfer levy, which will now be charged on the transferor. And so transfer from 1st of January 2026, we'll be seeing the 50 naira debit now being levied on the transferor. Again, if you look at value-added tax, remains 7.5%, but what is clear is that businesses are now able to take deduction for VAT incurred in the course of their businesses, and so is going to reduce the burden of such companies, and businesses are going to be making more profit as far as I'm concerned, based on the law. Again, fiscalization when it comes to VAT means that for electronic deployment of technology by the FRS, which they have started even before 1st of January, I expect that they're going to emphasize that, particularly for companies with a high turnover, so that they can now be issuing their invoices through the e-invoicing platform of the Federal Revenue Service. We also expect to see the FRS changing their logo to align with the new Nigeria Revenue Service. I'm sure that was unveiled earlier today from what I heard. And we're going to be seeing all of that going around as well as in their communication. We have seen some states, adopting the law by passing their own harmonized provisions, which we believe Nigeria is going to enjoy, because most of the nuisance taxes that are all over the place are now being harmonized and reduced or streamlined, and coming up with the basis for assessing individuals who are into small businesses, specifying those who are not going to be disturbed at all, people selling akara by the road, or those who are pushing wheelbarrow here and there, and specifying those who may come under the presumptive tax, those who have sources of income but who are not coming forward to file their returns. Again, if you look at the tax identification number, the law says that if you have a source of business, you should be identifiable. And I have seen the Joint Revenue Board has, the way they are liaising with the states as one of their responsibility to ensure uniformity in the application of law. They have come up with how banks or individuals, even myself, have checked for my tax identification number using my NIN to confirm what my tax identification number will be. That does not mean that NIN is your tax identification number. No. You plug it in, and on the basis of that, it generates what your tax identification number is. The same thing applies to companies. The RC number will be used to generate the tax identification number. And every tax-paying or businesses, individual in business companies, must have a tax identification number, so that when they transact in business, and if they have exemption, it will be identified. If they are exempt from paying tax, particularly if their businesses are below the threshold that are being set by some of the states that have harmonized, as well as for small companies with turnover not more than 100 million, they also be able to enjoy the exemption. A whole lot of things we'll be seeing in the coming days, but nothing too aggressive from the provision of the law. We're going to be seeing the serious part of it when companies begin to file their return, for me, from 2027, because the companies' account for 2025, are not more or less covered by the law, so that we don't apply the law retrospectively, including individuals in business or sole trader. You'll still be paying tax on the basis of the 2025 provision until you are filing your 2027 returns. Other than that, there's really nothing to worry about. Most of the laws didn't change much. It's just the streamlining of the provisions into 4 buckets, and then separating the fiscal provision from the administrative aspect and the one that relates to the joint revenue. Other than that, the majority of the provisions are similar.
Okay. Albert Folorunsho, I really would have loved to continue this discussion, but I'm sure you'd have another day with any of our platforms on Arise News, because there's so much to talk about consumption tax here. Albert Folorunsho is a tax expert. Thanks so very much for coming on News Now.